Hello, and welcome to the Make It Work podcast, a podcast about performers making their own work. I'm your host, Cluanny Saunders. As a performer, the industry is constantly telling us, get out there and make your own work. But how exactly do you do that? In this podcast, we are going to be taking a deep dive into the work of some performers and theater makers in the UK. We are looking at how they started, where their ideas came from, and what inspired them to create. How they kept going when they came up against challenges, how they funded their projects, how they got an audience, and much, much more. Join us, learn with us, and let's make it work. I'm an actor, writer, and a theater maker with a real passion for theater and film, especially new work. I've been in the industry professionally for about 10 years. In that time, I have worked mostly as an actor, singer, but I've also written and produced my own theater and content, as well as workshopping new musicals and plays, and being part of many ensembles devising original shows. In training, we were told that a great way to get noticed in the industry was to get out there and make your own work. And then when I left drama school, I attended casting workshops and industry events where, again, we were encouraged to make work for ourselves and invite people along to see it. In my experience, they make it sound like it's going to be really easy to do that. You just hire a theater above a pub, get a few actor friends together and stage a play, invite industry people along, and voila, your career will take off. But as someone who has made my own work, I know that even getting started on the process of making your own work can actually be incredibly daunting. For instance, you decide you'll hire a pub theater and you'll put on a show as they've suggested, but do you use an established script, which means you'll be paying rights to perform that script every night? Or do you write it yourself or devise it? Well, that can be a lot of pressure if you're performing in it too. Or do you get someone else to write it, either commissioning an established writer or a friend who's up and coming? We all know a well-known play might be easier to sell, but can you afford to pay for rights if you can get them? And then once you've made those simple decisions, the questions only multiply. How do you fund your project as an unknown? Can you pay yourself, your creatives, your tech, or is that even possible? Because people will tell you that you will likely lose huge amounts of money on your first venture. And that in itself is really scary. And really importantly, I think, to us as performers is we want to know, will I and my career benefit from this massive effort I'm putting in? Not only the financial commitment itself, but also the time away from potential auditions and other work. Will the critics come and watch this production? Will the casting directors, producers, and industry professionals that I'm trying to impress really see it? Don't get me wrong, there are some fantastic stories of people having amazing success after creating their own work. We will be hearing from many of them on this show. But for many performers, the uncertainty they feel around these questions that I've just outlined can drive them to put their great idea for their own show to one side. And I really think that's a shame. So that is one of the main reasons I wanted to make this podcast. We will be releasing our podcast, Make It Work, every 2 weeks. And with each episode, we are going to be demystifying the process of making your own work. I'll be speaking to industry professionals who have been there and done that. They've had the idea, and then they've followed through. They've jumped through the hoops, and they are willing to share with you what they learned along the way. We will be talking about their inspiration and their drive to create, how they got started, and their process. We will also look at how they funded their projects, how they marketed, how they found an audience, and how they benefited from creating their own work. I hope this podcast will serve as an inspiration for you and me, and a resource or roadmap for anyone pursuing or wanting to pursue making their own work. And as a useful guide for people who want to know more about artists making work in their industry. If you like the sound of this, please subscribe to the podcast. It helps us more than you can possibly know. And please follow us at Make It Work Podcast UK, all one word, on Instagram. Please feel free to contact us on there or at makeitworkpodcastuk@gmail.com. As we are a new podcast, we would love to hear what you think and any guests you would love to hear from. Thanks so much for listening. Keep making it work, and I'll see you on the next episode.